Armada Kickoff is brought to you by Community First Credit Union, Winn-Dixie, Baptist Health, Bowden Nye and Associates, Brumos Automotive, and Coastal Spine and Pain Center.
Hello and welcome into Armada Kickoff. The Armada entering into a stretch where they'll play 3 matches in 8 days. It's really the first challenge of its kind for the team. In addition to the schedule, they'll be playing shorthanded as well. We'll hear from some of the players about the challenge ahead.
With the team playing in Minnesota for the first time on Saturday, we're going to talk to Lucas Rodriguez, who won a soccer ball in Minnesota when he played in the NASL.
And of course, we'll have Bob's Boot Room and the Analyst Roundtable, but we start with last Saturday's action in Atlanta. Entering last Saturday's match, the Armada stood in second place in the NASL, and they held their destiny in their own hands. Win out, and they would win the spring championship. Atlanta, on the other hand, had been a team of draws this season. To Silverbacks Park, we go. Armada playing on the artificial surface in Atlanta, first time that they had done that this year, and in search of their first road victory. But early on, the Silverbacks would strike fast. Atlanta hadn't scored in over 290 minutes, but just 17 seconds into the match, the ball falls to Hans Dennison, who gets it to Jaime Chavez, back to Dennison, and the goal. Take another look. May have been a handball here, maybe. And look at number 12, Shaka Bangura. Was he offside? Take another look here and see. Tough to see on the handball there, but Bangura clearly further upfield than Matt Boehner. Now, he wasn't directly involved in the play, but just his placement, you certainly could have called it. Boehner's hand went up, but no whistle. It is a goal, and it's 1-0. The Armada, though, would respond. Now, watch this feed from Marcos Flores. Just beautiful, and Keita does the rest in the 20th minute, equalizing it. It's 1-1. Take another look at this class delivery by Flores. Settles it and puts it right through to Keita for the goal. Keita's third goal of the year. Flores leads the team in assists. Now here's another opportunity for the Armada. Bochi Hoyos to Jamal Johnson to Matt Boehner in the box, but Stuart Sues handles it. It's 1-1 at halftime. A blast from outside the box in the second half with Atlanta goes just high and wide. Then good team defense here by the Armada. Maybe a little shove by Sean Nicola, but he comes back, gets a foot on it there. Then Matt Boehner on the back post. Great job as a team to defend there to keep it at 1-1. 87th minute now. Keita would get it on a run out. And this is a key for the action going forward. Pulls up with the hamstring. You see him grabbing it there. He would go down. Keita right now listed as day-to-day. The match finishes as a 1-1 draw. The Armada with some mixed feelings after earning their first road point in franchise history.
Just an unbelievable effort from my teammates. We feel disappointed because we really wanted to win. But I told the boys, we need to feel proud of an effort we play in a way, and we show which kind of football we want to play, and we send a message to the league.
Atlanta Silverbacks is a good team. The NASL is a tough league. So for us to be able to come to Atlanta, a tough place, a tough surface, like I said, we don't take it for granted, and it's good that we added a point.
We had an opportunity earlier in the second half. But at the end of the day, it was, we fought hard. Unfortunately, we didn't get the W, but at the same time, we got a result on the road.
All right, take a look at the stats here. 9 shots for each side, only 1 on goal for the Silverbacks. Corner kicks were basically even. The other key here is that Fabricio Ortiz got the yellow card. That's his 5th of the year, and that means he will miss the next NASL match. That's the way it works in the North American Soccer League. League rules dictate that you lose a game after your 5th yellow card.
The fair and fair man of the match this past week went to attacking midfielder Marcos Flores. Week after week, Flores continues to play a big role in Armada midfield. He's a great leader on and off the field, and he made this flawless assist to Keita's equalizer against Atlanta. This marks Flores' 2nd assist this spring season. Some upcoming matches for the Armada. They are away this weekend in Minnesota. The following weekend, the boys in blue return to Community First Park on May 30th to take on the Carolina Railhawks. Then on June 7th, the action on the pitch is against Ottawa Fury for a Sunday match beginning at 4 p.m. And the spring season ends on June 13th with a match in New York against the Cosmos. There's a watch party this weekend for the Armada against the Loons of Minnesota United. It's part of the Jazz Fest After Dark in downtown. It will be held at the Laura Street Trio. Entry is free for the first 1,000 fans, and it begins at 7 p.m. The Armada have a busy week ahead, 3 matches including their first ever U.S. Open Cup match on Wednesday. And there are some obstacles that they will have to navigate if they are to survive this very rocky stretch.
Let's start first with the certainty. They certainly won't have Mauricio Ortiz in this game. After picking up his 5th yellow card of the season last week, he will sit out under league rules.
We're definitely going to have to make an adjustment. Fabricio has been great for us so far. So, when you lose one, it's always, and things get shuffled around, it's always, difficult. They always say next man up. So, we'll see what coach wants to do with our alignment, and, we'll go from there.
As for what they may not have Keita available. After scoring a goal in the 20th minute late in the contest, Keita, the leading goal scorer for the Armada, went down with a hamstring injury. He's listed as day-to-day.
If Keita is not there, everybody got to, we have to push it, If it was me, JJ, whoever's, in our position, have to just set the ball and then make sure that if Keita was there, he will be dying to be on the field with us. So we got to represent him well.
Andaur is an important player for us, but I trust in every single teammate. So the coach will have a big task to fill and to try to find the best way possible.
And then there's the part of the equation that includes the numbers, as in 3 and 8. 3 matches in 8 days, including a U.S. Open Cup matchup next midweek.
Every time, as a player, you go out on the field, you want to win. I think anybody at this level and beyond has to have that mentality in order to continue to improve and to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. So, it's a very important game for us. So we're going to take it just as important as any other game.
We have a good mentality. Overall, in the squad we are really positive and we have a lot of desire to play. So it's gonna be challenging, but it will be awesome.
As for this week's opponent, the Armada travel to Minnesota to face Minnesota United. They're also called the Loons. Here's a closer look.
When the season began, the Minnesota United were expected to be one of the top teams in the NASL. But the Loons stumbled out of the gate. As recently as 2 weeks ago, they stood in 10th place on the NASL table. But victories over Atlanta and Indy have vaulted Minnesota to 4th place, just a point behind the Armada. Minnesota has a pair of marquee players on the roster, forward Christian Ramirez, who led the league with 20 goals last year, and midfielder Miguel Ibarra, who became the first modern-era NASL player to play for the U.S. men's national team. Both were on the NASL Best 11 last season, and both have already scored this year. If the United win on Saturday, they will have vaulted from 10th to 2nd in just 3 weeks' time.
Now, there's one Armada player that spent several years playing for Minnesota. That's midfielder Lucas Rodriguez. Krissty Andaur tells us more.
It was 2011 and Lucas Rodriguez was one of their starting midfielders. Not to mention it was the championship game against the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, and Rodriguez happened to score.
We were able to accomplish great things. We made it to 2 championships in a row, which is, is not easy, especially in this league. And we were able to win one of those, which was probably the best experience of my professional career so far.
Winning the NASL championship is quite the experience, and Rodriguez also made a friend, Miguel Ibarra, who has also played for the national team several times.
He's got a lot of energy, brings a lot to the table, and I think that's why, they've done a good job of keeping him and keeping him happy, and make sure that he's able to perform every game. And obviously good for the national team to take a look on him in a league where maybe a lot of people wouldn't look before, and find a great player that has done well both with the club and in the national team level.
And now Rodriguez returns to his old stomping grounds and hopes to gain 3 points in a match that could mean a chance at the spring title.
I think for us it's a very important game. We've been also improving as game one goes by, I believe, and it's going to determine, I think it's an important game, because if we are serious about winning a championship and we want to beat Cosmos in New York, we have to be able to beat Minnesota. So it's going to be a good test for us. It's a good team, just like any other, but we have to go in there humble, trying to work hard and get 3 points like we always do and treat it as another final.
Well, here's a great way to get your Armada fix. The Kraken Pack. Choose one of 2 packs, 8 matches, just $88. Remember, because of the 8 tentacles on Squid Vicious. Both packs include matches against the New York Cosmos and the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, plus 6 other NASL fixtures. Call 844-2-ARMADA or online at armadafc.com. Straight ahead, we'll have highlights from around the NASL and a look at the standings.
And Bob Veal joins us for Bob's Boot Room. Stick around, more Armada Kickoff is straight ahead.
Season tickets are still on sale. It's a great time to do it because you can get your seats now and have them prorated for the remaining matches. You can still get that interest-free monthly payment plan and invitation to special season ticket owner-only events. Tickets start from just $10 per match. Call 844-2-ARMADA or online at armadafc.com. The week in the NASL featured two Florida teams going at it in the rain and a remarkable late-game comeback for the Cosmos. Let's now go around the NASL.
Let's start in Carolina, where the Railhawks had a near-capacity crowd on hand to watch first place New York. First half, home team striking first. In just the 7th minute, it's Neil Lavati slotting it home to give the Railhawks a 1-0 lead. It would remain 1-0 until the second half, 76th minute, when Ty Shipolani makes it a 2-0 contest, and it's looking like Carolina will hand New York their first loss of the season. A minute into stoppage time, an own goal to give the Cosmos some life. Then, in the dying moments, 7 minutes into stoppage time, Andres Flores beats Carolina goalkeeper Hunter Gilstrap, and the Cosmos steal a point on the road. They remain unbeaten in 2015. Indy 11 hosting Minnesota United. 22nd minute, and the home team would see the visitors draw first blood on the free kick. Khalif Al-Hassan makes it 1-0 Loons, but Indy would equalize in the second half. 49th minute off the corner kick. Sergio Pena, who made a habit of delivering dramatic goals, does here to level the match at 1, much to the delight of the crowd of over 10,000 in Indianapolis. But Minnesota would respond. 63rd minute, Pablo Campos on the breakaway gets the shot off, and on the rebound, Justin Davis puts it in to make it a 2-1 Minnesota lead. Later in the half, the clincher for the Loons. Giuliano Vicentini takes the feed from Christian Ramirez, puts it out of reach. Minnesota climbs the 4th of the table with a 3-1 victory on the road. Rainy night in Tampa for the Rowdies and the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. Here's the only goal of the match. Mike Monsanto shot saved by David Mevis, but there's Robert Hernandez to put it in for the Rowdies. Tampa beats the Strikers 1-0, making Rowdies coach Thomas Rungan a very happy man. Finally, San Antonio visiting FC Edmonton. Watch the work that Omar Cummings does for the Scorpions, bulldozing his way through the Edmonton defense. On a day when Daryl Fordyce scored 2 for Edmonton and Billy Forbes did the same for San Antonio, it's the Scorpions who emerge with a 3-2 victory. As we take a look at the NASL table here, the Cosmos still on top with 15 points, but the Armada actually hold their own destiny in their hands. Despite the fact being 5 points down, they have a game in hand, so winning that one and then beating the Cosmos at the end of the spring season would give the Armada the spring championship. The Armada and the Cosmos are the only teams that have their destiny in their own hands. Tampa has already played 7 games, so they don't have a game in hand on New York. Meanwhile, the second half of the table finds Fort Lauderdale falling to the second page after their 1-0 loss to Tampa Bay. And at the bottom of the table, you see the two teams from Canada, Edmonton, and the Ottawa Fury.
Now let's head to Bob's Boot Room, presented by Nike. Here are Bob Veal and Krissty Andaur.
Thank you, Cole. Some other exciting news in the league. The NASL announced earlier this week the addition of a new team, Miami FC. They will begin play in 2016, and that brings the number of teams to 12 and marks the 4th team in Florida. I wonder how that's going to impact the NASL next year, but let's talk about Jacksonville's team.
Yeah, let's talk about Atlanta. Let's start with the first clip we've got from the game last weekend. And this is, we're going to look at the defense and the errors they made. So this ball did not go forward from the kickoff. It should have been replayed. And the long ball in now is played there by, and that could be a handball. It looked like a handball, and that could have been offside. So the Armada were very unlucky in that first goal. Now, let's look at second sequence here, which is a bad mistake at the back. You cannot lose the ball. Armada are struggling here, and they hit the post. Luckily, it comes to one of our players, and we clear it and play out. This is a clearance from the back, which is not good at all. This is played back to Lucas Scaglia. The long ball, too desperate. Stop and look around. That goes straight to Atlanta, play the ball back, and they come at us again. So let's look now at the goal. Great goal with a great pass from Flores here. He slips his attacker. On he goes, passes a great ball through, and Cater, of course, in that position is going to finish it every time. Here, we have a desk stop there. Now, every Armada player is running across the field to look at the guy passing the ball. And in comes Atlanta at the back. Armada are all over the place. You can see it in slow motion here. They're trying to get back. Goalkeeper has to come out and defend that ball, and now we're in trouble. Header off the goal line by Boehner, put away for a corner. We have to cut that out.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Bob.
Thank
the
you.
Armada looks to gain their first win on the road this weekend in Minnesota. Cole?
All right, thanks, guys. Straight ahead, Mauricio Ruiz and Andy Kidd join the roundtable. We'll talk about what the Armada have to do to win the spring season. Stick around. Armada Kickoff rolls on.
The Armada Social Rewards program is a great way to stay connected with the team via social media. Just go online at armadasocialrewards.com, create an account, and start earning free gifts like jerseys, scarves, and even tickets to future matches. Each week, we pick a random winner, and congratulations to Krissty Arango. You've won 2 tickets to the Armada match against the Carolina Railhawks. And now let's head over to the roundtable presented by Subway. Cole?
Players that you can switch around, and we're going to be very strong.
We saw a lot of different players, a lot of different lineups.
All right, thank you, guys. Here we are, the Analyst Roundtable presented by Subway, Mauricio Ruiz and Andy Kidd. Let's get right into it, guys. The Armada will be without Fabricio Ortiz against Minnesota United. Andy, how did the Armada handle that?
Well, we've got some depth at the back. I think you could see Sean Nicklaw come in and either Boehner or Trejo go into the center. I think you want Boehner to match up with Ibarra probably, so you may see Trejo go in the center. Or you could see Lucas Rodriguez slide into the back and bring Perea or somebody else into the midfield.
Yeah, I think it's important not to move too much around. So I think towards the end of the game, you saw Nicklaw coming into the game. Maybe it was to get him a little bit of a little more time. So my prediction is that maybe you slide Matt inside because we've been missing a little bit of height anyways. Matt's predominant in the air. Then you slide Nicklaw in a comfortable position, which is where he came in on. And I think it should be a pretty easy fix.
This week, the NASL announcing that there will be a team in Miami next year. Beckham's been trying to get an MLS side down there. That means 4 teams in the state of Florida, 2 in the Miami metro area with Fort Lauderdale as well. Mauricio, what was your reaction?
Well, I think it's fantastic, and I think it's really classy from the Strikers organization to welcome them into the South, the South Florida area. For the NSL, it's only a positive.
Right.
With Minnesota being announced in a couple of years going into the MLS, now bringing in, that's continued to strengthen the interest that owners have. And talking about owners, Paulo Maldini, and and the organization that's bringing in as well, that he's partnered up with. I mean, it's pretty strong, or pretty strong ownership.
Right. It's really, and it's neat to have those teams right next to each other. One team is going to make the other one better, and those ownership groups are going to work hard and market and try and say, hey, come see Miami play or come see Fort Lauderdale play. And those rivalries, they're going to make each other better. Just like when Florida does something, Georgia tries to do something, in football, So it's kind of neat. I think that's only going to make the league better and create some rivalries.
What is it going to take for the Armada to win the spring season, Mauricio?
Some consistency to what they're doing. I think they finally got on a track of getting 2 home wins, going on the road and coming from behind and getting a result. I think they're on the track of really just learning how to win. And they need some favorable results to come their way, but they're still sitting in a pretty good place if they take care of their opponents. This weekend is huge with Minnesota, which now is starting to creep up, right underneath their Armada. But I think some consistency in the track that they're on is going to be really important for them.
Yeah, with a game in hand versus New York. We've got, I look at it, we need to get 9 points out of 4 games. New York's got 15 points, we have 10. If we can get to 19 and they only get a win and a draw, and obviously they have to lose to us in the last game of the year. But I think if you can get 9 points in these last 4 games, which is asking a lot, we're on the road a couple games, but I think that puts us in a good position. And then we'd have the head-to-head with New York if we're able to pull that out.
All right, Andy Kidd, Mauricio Ruiz, thanks so much. Straight ahead, highlights of the team the Armada will face Wednesday in the U.S. Open Cup. Stick around. More Armada Kickoff is straight ahead.
Single match tickets are on sale, and there's only 2 home matches left this spring season. Carolina Railhawks on May 30th and Ottawa Fury on June 7th. Remember, that match against Ottawa is on Sunday with a kickoff time of 4 p.m.
Wednesday night, the Armada will play in the U.S. Open Cup for the first time, and they'll face the Richmond Kickers, who beat Virginia Beach City FC this past Wednesday in Virginia. The Armada will travel on the road. If they win that third round match, they'll face an MLS team in the 4th round.
The Armada players are very active on social media, and it's really just a great way to connect with them. Let's kick things off with an Instagram post by Marcos Flores, quote-unquote, building our own culture. Who knew he was such a performer? The North American Soccer League tweeted out a nice story and picture of Sean Nicklaw on his career playing for the Guam national team. Pascal Million, after a hot afternoon beach workout, still keeps positive. And a member of Section 904 and a huge Armada supporter shared his excitement about making the trip this weekend to Minnesota.
All right, we want to take a moment here to be sure to recognize on this Memorial Day weekend, of course, the Armada is so intertwined with the military, and so we want to salute all those who have lost family members serving in our armed forces throughout the years. That's what Memorial Day is really all about. Also, remember our coverage of the Armada taking on those pesky Minnesota United Loons begins at 7:30 on Saturday. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff Eastern time, so we'll have that for you right here on CW17. You can also get the very latest on the Armada Soccer Show every Friday with Bob Veal and myself. That's at 3 o'clock on Sports Radio 930. And then on Mondays, the Armada Monday podcast appears on ArmadaFC.com.
And don't forget the watch party at Jazz Fest After Dark in downtown. That's tomorrow at 7. Thanks for joining us. I'm Krissty Andaur.
And I'm Cole Pepper. Thanks so much.